taking you guys along with me on all my adventures. For everybody who's new here, I'm Sydney. I'm a mom of two, a business owner. I spend most of my days sewing and crafting and creating and all of that sort of thing, but I also love spending time with myself and I love prioritizing that alone time. And so this week I have flown from my home in Oregon all the way across the country to Maine. I rented this cute little cottage that I'm completely obsessed with. In fact, I'm gonna link the Airbnb in the description so that if anybody wants to stay here, you know where to find it. By the way, this is not sponsored in any sort of way. I paid to be here. I just think it's a really cute little cottage. It's pretty small, which is perfect for just one person or two people. It would be perfect for that. It has a really nice like living kitchen area, which is where I am right now. And then the upstairs is a cute little loft bedroom. There's a bathroom up there. There's a little like patio area, which I'm sure I'm going to be utilizing every day. And then the backyard has a lot of cute sitting and eating areas. There's another little patio out there. There's a fire pit. The host said there's a path that you can walk down to a lake that's like super close, but it's not like completely finished. They said it's a bit of an adventure to go down there right now, but I probably will check it out. So anyway, love going on trips by myself. I've done a lot of little trips close by where I live. I like going to the coast in Oregon. I do that pretty often. This is for sure the furthest away I've gone, and so I am very excited and I hope to make it a regular thing. I hope to do a lot of thrifting, yarn shopping, fabric shopping, book shopping, reading, crocheting. I am also going to learn to knit on this trip, which I've been planning to do for a long time, and I am going to make a separate video that's just 100% my learning to knit journey, because otherwise this would turn into a 7-hour video, which nobody wants. We are leaving right now. I'm going to be driving to Portland, Maine, not Oregon, and hitting up all the shops there today. So that's kind of my plan for the day. First, we need to get brunch, of course. Before I leave, let's do a little fit check. Probably my most worn pair of Lane pants, which is my sewing pattern. Adding a little ruffle at the bottom, that's like a hack. And then my sweater is from Madewell, I think. Bagoo bag, of course. And my shoes are from Garden Air. They're like jelly sandals, and I'm in love with them. Let's go explore Maine. On my way down to Portland, I stopped in Wiscasset, Maine, which is a small town that I had heard of from Alexander Widener, who is somebody I have become completely obsessed with on TikTok. He makes these videos about the history of different types of design. He's like a design historian, basically. And he's opening an interior shop and guest cottage in Wiscasset. So I had to stop there because of him. It did not disappoint. Did a little antiquing, got some breakfast. It was very cute. Full transparency, once I did get to Portland, I really didn't get the best clips to show you of my experience. I didn't film a ton. I did stop in this really cute fabric store called Z Fabrics, which I loved, but I didn't stay for very long. I didn't get a lot of footage there because I was really overwhelmed the whole time I was there. It was super windy, so busy, like insanely Disneyland busy, which I don't think the clips really show that, but it was very busy. There were no public bathrooms that I could find, which is understandable in you know, a city like that, but I needed to find a bathroom, couldn't find a bathroom. Parking took me like 30 minutes to find. I was just so, like I said, overwhelmed. And so I stopped at a couple of places, got a few things, but overall, I was kind of bummed about my Portland experience. Time for a shopping haul. I didn't actually end up going to very many places, but I did end up with a lot of things. Let's do fabric first. This is a quilting cotton from Ruby Star Society. I got about 3 yards of that. This is such a great example because, as I've said, I think to you multiple times, people always ask me, how do you decide how much fabric you're gonna get if you don't have an idea in mind? So I'll tell you like what I was thinking, my thought process. Saw this fabric, I was like, oh, that's cute. It could be shorts, it could be a top. I don't think it's gonna be a dress. It feels like too busy of a print to be a dress. Could be a bag, could be an accessory. I feel like I'll for sure use it for at least one thing, potentially 2 things, but nothing very big. So I got 3 yards of it. I don't really know how to translate that. That was my thought process. And then I got this olive green voile, which I haven't sewn with that ever, maybe ever. It's just like a really, really thin, like cottony feel fabric. And this one I was thinking it could be a dress probably, because like I said, it's really lightweight. So I'd probably have to line at least the bodice of it, potentially a skirt too. Or if I just made a skirt out of it, I'd probably still need to line it because it's super lightweight. So I got 4 yards of that because that felt like enough to make any dress lined, probably. Okay, do you guys remember my blue and white fabric that looks very similar to this? And I cannot remember where I got that one, but it's the same brand, which is either Kino or a Chino. Not totally positive about that. Anyway, they had a bunch of embroidered cottons there from the same brand. I really like this brown color. So again, I feel like this could be top, could be a dress. I got 3 1/4 yards of that because that's all that was left on the bolt. This one is an embroidered cotton from Fabulism. This one could be shorts, could be a top, probably not a dress. I think I got 3 yards of that one for the same thought processes. Okay, this one is Merchant and Mills and I'm obsessed with it. It's a cotton, but it's really like lightweight. And it has these little embroidered flowers and like squares on it. It's like a really subtle print, which I love. And I think I also got just the rest of the bolt, which was a little over 3 yards there. And then a couple more. I got a double gauze, a brown double gauze from Robert Kaufman. I was really hesitant because I feel like this could be so many things. It's probably too thin for pants because it is quite lightweight. I don't know, maybe. I'll think about it. It could be pants, like lightweight pants, flowy pants. It could be a dress. I have this dress in my brain that I have been wanting to make, and I feel like this could be it. More on that later because I'll probably make a video about it. But anyway, could be a dress, could be a skirt. Oh wait, a brown skirt could be cute. Yeah, this could be so many things. So I got 4 yards because I felt like it could be anything or like 2 things. And then I got a couple denims. I especially was looking for denims, even though I got a bunch of other things too. But I got both like a light wash and dark wash denim. Both of these are Robert Kaufman brand as well. I was specifically looking for denims because I think denims, for me at least, is maybe one of the fabrics that is actually quite difficult to shop for online. I feel like seeing denim in person personally helps a lot. So I wanted to stock up on some extra denims, kind of in a more like lightweight category. These are 6.5 ounce denims. So yeah, they're like light / medium weight. And potentially I might film a lane pants tutorial with either of these. But if I don't make lane pants with them, I could still use them for a lot of things. In fact, I'm wanting to make the Arlo vest from, I think it's Sewing with Lilia. Sewing with Lilia. It's very close. She released the Arlo vest recently, which I thought was so cute and would make a really good top with my Sandra skirt. So I feel like an Arlo vest out of either of these denims, or even maybe the double gauze. I need to read through the fabric suggestions for that one to see if that's a good choice. Then, let's see. Got some yarns, which I'll talk more about in my knitting video because I thought of a new theory for buying yarn. See how it works out. And then I got some things at like a vintage shop. I really don't shop for clothes ever because I just sew everything. And even if I'm in a store and I see something that I like an item of clothing, I'm thinking like, oh, but I could make that, or I could make something similar, which I actually think is overall, at the level that I make things, like the amount of things that I make is probably detrimental to me at this point because yeah, I can make it, but am I going to? Am I going to take the time to do it? Am I going to get around to make every single thing that pops into my brain? No, there's not enough hours in the day to do all of the things that I want to do. So I really should be buying some things, although I've bought, maybe, I could probably count on my hand the number of times I've bought clothes in the last 2-3 years. I basically never shop for clothes for that exact reason. And so there are a few items of clothing that I am not interested in making at all. And so that's kind of my list of things I had going into the thrift store. And I'll probably go to a few other thrift stores on this trip with the same thing in mind. So like sweatshirts, big like boxy t-shirts, shoes, boots, those types of things I don't really want to make. Like I guess I could make a sweatshirt, but anyway. So Hats, I guess, is in that category. This is just like a really beat up looking hat. I wear hats all the time when I hike, and I kind of don't love how newish my hats look because all of my hats I've like bought new, and I want more old looking hats. And then I also got a couple sweatshirts, and I feel like it's the same thing with sweatshirts. I really love a thin sweatshirt that is really old so that it feels like really cozy and broken in. So I got this sweatshirt, this Maine sweatshirt that I'm obsessed with. I don't know how I feel about the Living Salty tagline, but we're gonna ignore that and focus on the Maine and the lobster. I also really love this color. When I was in high school, my dad actually had a sweatshirt that was this same color with white writing on it that said Stanford, and me and my sister wore it all the time. I imagine she took it when she went to college. Allie, if you're watching this, where did that Stanford sweatshirt go? Because it was so comfy. It was like really thin and just the right amount of bagginess. I feel like this could be the same thing. I potentially may cut off the like band at the bottom. Any sweatshirts that are super long, I like to do that, especially because proportionately my hips are much larger than, like my bottom half is way larger than my top half. And so anything that looks like kind of baggy on the top is like tight around my butt if it's too long. And I think this might fall into that category. But anyway, good find. And then I got another sweatshirt that also says Maine on it. Is that overkill? I don't know, but I am choosing to embrace the memories of this trip. It's really cute. It's like embroidered and it has these little flowers on it. Love the color. I really like this sweatshirt. Again, I may potentially cut off the bottom band. This one isn't quite as long, so we'll see. I really want to wear these on this trip. The Airbnb advertised that there was a washer and dryer. It's nowhere that I have seen yet, but there is a basement door. In fact, let me show you. That door right there leads down to a basement. When I got in here late at night, I got in at like 10 because I drove from the airport. I was just trying to like get in, go to bed. I was super tired and I was like, you know, exploring around a little bit, and I opened that door and it's just like a creepy dark basement. And I closed it and just erased it from my brain because I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep if I thought about it. Potentially there's a washer and dryer down there. I'm gonna take you with me as protection because I'm scared. And I really hope there is, because if there is, I'm gonna wash these tonight so that I can wear my sweatshirts. I also forgot to pack a coat, so I'll need one if I'm gonna go on my hikes and stay warm. All right, we're going down to the basement. No, it's actually kind of creepy. Here, let me show you. Like, you don't wanna go down there at 10 o'clock or now, right? Also, sometimes in Airbnbs, there's like signs that say like cleaning closet, like don't go in there or whatever, or it's locked. This is not locked. Oh, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. But I need to know what's down here. Okay. No, I'm glad I went down here. This is what the basement is. There is a washer and dryer. Okay, no, it's fine. I'm so glad I'm doing this because otherwise I would be stressed and thinking about like a strange person living down here while I'm upstairs. Oh, there are a lot of spider webs, but that's okay. Found the washing machine. I'm gonna go wash my sweatshirts now, and you guys can mark me safe for murderers. Welcome to my cooking show. We are chopping veggies for dinner, which is really insane because I don't even cook at home, like truly hardly ever, because I don't like it. So the fact that I'm cooking on vacation, I do expect a medal. I used to cook a lot when I was younger. I was thinking about today and how, I don't know, I was feeling kind of bummed earlier that it wasn't quite the like relaxing, successful first day that I was envisioning. But I'm actually feeling fine about it now because before I went on this trip, as I was planning it, I kind of decided that my goal was going to be satisfaction, my motto or word of the trip or whatever, because I knew that no matter what, there was always going to be, like, as I was planning and thinking through the different things I wanted to do, there's always more that could be done, more places that I could see, or more things that I could feel guilty about, like, oh, I didn't have time for this, or I didn't get to do this, or like I flew all the way to Maine and I didn't even see this or do this or whatever. I knew that I was going to feel that way. I was trying to like mentally prepare myself that it's not possible to do it all, so I just need to be satisfied with the things that I do get to, because like no matter what, I'm going to be doing things. It's not like I'm sitting, like, okay, if I sat in bed every single day and stared at a wall, then I could feel guilty and like a dumb person. I just think it's funny that literally day one, the aftermath of like my outing, I was already feeling dissatisfied, and like not in a way that's like anybody but myself. Like I was feeling dissatisfied with myself and frustrated with myself that I was feeling like overwhelmed and overstimulated. So I'm feeling better about it now. I'm giving myself a pep talk about that, but especially since I think that what I've learned from today, what I can take away, is that I really don't like going to cities and city center places when I'm on solo trips. If I go on a trip with my husband, which I've already told him that I want to come back here with him another time. But if I go on a trip with somebody, with friends, my husband, whoever, then I do like going to cities. I've gone to lots of cities. Me and my husband went to Minneapolis in January, and that was like lots of fun. Minneapolis in January is kind of nuts. It's so cold and kind of a crazy decision, but it was fun. Like we went to a basketball game, and anyway, it was a nice time. And so I like doing those types of things when there's somebody else with me. I feel the shared responsibility of finding parking and choosing where we're going and whatever. When I'm on a trip with other people, cities are great. When I'm on my own, I want to stick to more like small towns. Even as I was driving back to the cottage and I was in Union, which is the little town that this cottage is in, even here I was thinking like, I wish I had just like spent the day here. I might need to take a look at my other plans and adjust so that I don't feel overwhelmed every day, which I'm sure I won't. Gotten cozy and I have been knitting for the past couple hours. Yes, this is what I've produced in that time. Why, do you ask? I actually feel like it's going well, which you might not agree with. I also finished listening to my audiobook, which I really don't talk about my books on here too much, so let me know if you even care, but I always have an audiobook going on, and I just finished one today, and I want to tell you about it because I actually feel like it was really good. And sometimes I don't really talk about my books on here because I'm not totally sure like what genres you guys are interested in, and so maybe I'll just be safe and not really talk about my books. This one I feel like would appeal to a lot of people. So it's called The Thursday Murder Club. It's basically like a kind of like cozy crime story. Very much in the line of, you know, those like British, are they called procedurals? I'm not sure. But you know, like Miss Marple and Father Brown, is that one of them? I got in a huge Father Brown phase a few years ago and watched like every single episode, which there are a lot of episodes. It's very like formulaic, kind of just like little British English towns, villages, and there's like some sort of murder or crime that occurs, and then like the cozy people of the town solve it and whatever. Anyways, it was kind of like that. It's set in, I'm not going to give away too many things, but it's set in like a retirement community. So like there's all these older people that are just kind of like silly and cute. And I really also liked the writing style because the narrator kind of like shifts point of views a lot, honestly. Most of it's like third person, but you follow different characters. But then every few chapters, there's like a first person journal point of view with one of the characters, which was really interesting. And then I just started the second book in the Farseer trilogy, which is a Robin Hobb fantasy. I read the first one a couple months ago and I really liked it, and I just hadn't gotten around to the second one yet, so I just barely started that, and that's been good. Then I'm also gonna be starting to read, so I always have a audiobook and a Kindle book usually going on at the same time. I don't read a lot of physical books. Usually what I'll do is if I really, really liked a book, then I'll buy a physical copy of it for like my shelf. For Kindle books, I try to get things that are like kind of more like quick reads and like addicting. If I read really long books on there, like a big fantasy book or something, it takes me forever. So I audio those. An author that I really like, Mariana Zapata, she just came out with a new book this week or last week or something, and she hasn't had a new one in like a year and a half. I want to read that as well. And that one's definitely a different vibe a little bit from like a cozy murder or a fantasy book. I think there are fantasy elements of this one, but most of her books are like contemporary romance books. And I really like her style. Her books are really formulaic because they're all like super, super slow burn and like actual slow burn, as in 90% of the book, the two main characters will make eye contact or maybe hold hands, but there's like really not much going on. It's a lot of like tension and just kind of like living life. It's really great. But yeah, this one, I read like the synopsis of it and it sounds like there's some kind of like magical, mystical elements, which she doesn't usually do. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But truly, every one of her books I've really liked, so I need to get into that. Although with knitting, I don't know how I'm gonna find the time to read my Kindle this week. It's so much easier to knit and listen. One more thing before I turn in for the night. I usually don't talk about numbers or milestones or like follower count. For the most part, I really don't care too much about that. However, I have been kind of keeping an eye on hitting 100K on YouTube, and that is what we're at right now, 99K. And I'm wondering if we're gonna hit 100 on this trip. If I go by my average gain for the last month or so, then I'm gonna hit it like right after my trip, but it would be pretty exciting if I hit it while we're here. I'll let you guys know if I do. Again, I really don't care too much about this stuff, and not that it's a bad thing to care about it at all. I just have been doing social media as a job for so long that I recognize it can turn into something that is a negative to be too focused on that, and a decade ago I feel like I was, and so I'm trying not to be there. But this stat in particular is the one that like my kids ask me about all the time because they don't care about Instagram or TikTok or whatever because they're not on it, and they're not really on YouTube either. We have like a no YouTube rule for them 99% of the time. Occasionally they get to do it as like a special thing sometimes, but they think YouTube is cool, and so they are always asking me how many subscribers I have, and when I tell them, they're like, oh, that's it. Like, they think I'm so lame. So if I hit 100K, they'll finally potentially think my job is cool. We'll see. Good morning. We are getting ready to leave for the day. I am gonna go hiking today, which I'm very excited about. I feel like it's much more my speed, kind of what I was talking about yesterday. Originally, I was planning to go hiking closer to the New Hampshire border. It's like 2.5 hours away from where I am here, and I know there's a lot of great hiking over there, and so I had kind of planned on going over there. But also after yesterday, I realized that it's not worth it to be driving so far. And obviously I'm here for a few days, which is kind of why I thought that it would be fine and it would be worth it, but it really just, it sucks up so much of the day, and I don't want to spend so much of this trip driving. So I re-looked at different trails last night and I decided I'm going to go to, yes, Mount Waldo, the Quarry Trail, which is a little under an hour away. So there's not a ton of hikes right where I'm at, or the ones that are close to me are more like flat. I'd rather, I don't know, see a little bit more mountains and hills, which is one of my notes about Maine and the East Coast in general. It's just so flat. I grew up in Salt Lake. I live in Oregon right now, so I'm used to a lot of mountains and hills, and I didn't even realize, like, obviously I know that Utah especially has a lot of mountains. That's kind of its thing, but it's so shocking coming places. Basically, like anywhere east of the Rockies, it feels so flat to me. In fact, there's this phenomenon, which you may know of if you're from Utah, where, you know, right along the Wasatch Front, which I grew up in Salt Lake, so Mount Olympus, Wasatch Front was like right in my backyard. So you're just kind of blind to it. You don't really like think about it or notice it on a day-to-day basis. But then when you leave, you feel unmoored. I can't get a grasp of where I am because you're so used to a giant mountain being east of you. And so you always know where you're at because you can always see the giant mountain. Going anywhere else, it just feels like you have no idea what direction you're looking at any time. And it is a real, like, it feels insane. You feel crazy. And my husband thinks I'm nuts. And he's like, well, you know, we have mountains here or whatever in Oregon. But it's not the same because they're like far away. Like, okay, yeah, Mount Hood exists, but it's like way far in the distance. Like most days you can't even see it. Not really apples to apples, if you will. To me, Oregon is pretty flat. There's like hills and trees and whatever, but here it's like flat. It feels kind of eerie, a little spooky, to be honest. So I want to hike in a mountain today. And so it's not really I guess Mount Waldo, would you consider that a mountain? I don't know. But it looks like it has at least some sort of hill or viewpoint. And wish me luck that the little town I'm getting breakfast at is not going to be crazy busy. I'm really hoping that because it's not the weekend anymore, it's a little bit more chill, because I don't really want to be around crowds the rest of this trip. See how it goes. Okay, we are at the top and it's pretty good. I didn't even realize that after that first viewpoint there was a whole second viewpoint with the quarry. There is quite a lot of graffiti though that you can see on the rocks. But anyway, this place is really cool. I thought this would be a good time to chat about safety, both hiking alone, traveling alone. I get this question a lot. I've answered it a lot. I've talked about it many times, both on here and on Instagram and whatever. But I thought, I know I'll get questions or comments about it on this video, so I might as well address it again. So my basic philosophy is that anything bad can happen to anybody at any time, whether they were smart, careful, or not. It could happen hiking alone, traveling alone. It could happen when you're tucked in bed at night in a locked, safe house, right? And obviously I recognize that the risks do go up for certain activities, like hiking. And so I do take measures. I take a lot of safety measures to help myself feel safe and feel comfortable. And they may not be what everybody else wants to do to feel safe and comfortable, but it is a personal decision at the end of the day. A few things that I do: I have pepper spray always that's easily accessible. I am aware of my surroundings, even though right now I'm chatting to you. I am like never on my phone. I only ever have one earbud in, and it's turned down pretty low. It's on noise transparency mode, so I can always hear around me. My husband has my location at all times, and I check in with him a lot, especially when I'm not near home, right? Because I do hike very frequently just around my house and my neighborhood and whatever. But when I'm going anywhere that's a little bit further, I check in with him when I start and when I stop. And on this trip in particular, he has like my full itinerary. He knows where I'm going to be at any minute. I also am very particular about the hikes that I choose to do. I make sure to go on ones where the trails are fairly well marked. I look at reviews before, and I'm always following maps. I have both Strava and All Trails, and so both of those things have maps, and I kind of cross-reference them and am watching them as I'm hiking, so I know that I'm going where I'm supposed to be going. I almost always have service as well, but just in case I don't have service, if I'm going to a trail I haven't been to before or one that I'm not super familiar with, I also download the map to make sure that I have access to that as well. Pause 1 second, it's rocky here. I'm back. I also bring lots of food, water, even if it's going to be a short hike or whatever. I always bring a little bit extra of that stuff. So with all that being said, those are the things that I do. Those are things that make me feel safe and comfortable, and I feel totally fine hiking in those conditions. You may hear all of those things and think that it's still not safe, it's still not something I should be doing. That's totally fine for you to feel that way. It's not going to change how I feel. And also, I am not here to say that everybody should go hiking by themselves or whatnot, because I do hear from people that they would feel unsafe, which is totally fair. I am just here to tell you that I do feel safe. And if you feel the need to tell me that I'm irresponsible, just don't. You don't need to be here, but I appreciate the people who are here and are kind. And I need you guys to understand, my hikes are, for the most part, not these like insane backcountry in the woods in the middle of nowhere. That's not what we're doing. Most of these things are 10-15 minutes from my house. I live in a very like green and nature-y area, and so it kind of looks like I'm out in the middle of the nowhere, but I'm really not. Like, it's really just a nature walk that looks really pretty. Literally coming to a beautiful viewpoint right now. This is maybe a step up from what I usually do, and occasionally I do bigger hikes that are, you know, like 10 miles and have to drive out to them and whatever. But I think a lot of people view my habit of hiking every day as like, whoa, you're in the woods every day. And sort of, but not really. So it is actually pretty chill and pretty casual. I feel very safe. I've kind of worked up to it and taken measures to make myself feel safe. And so it's something that I enjoy doing. And that is my speech about being alone. Just kidding. I actually remembered one other thing, especially with traveling alone. I never ever tell people that I'm alone, like at the airport or in shops, in restaurants, whatever. Sometimes people will ask me if I'm traveling by myself or flying by myself, or, you know, a couple people in the airport asked me where I was going and I told them Maine, and they're like, oh, by yourself. I always say no. And generally, I try not to lie, but I always lie to these people. And I say that I'm with friends, meeting friends, my husband's in the bathroom, you know, whatever. Even if they're like really kind grannies. Like the two ladies I sat next to on the plane over here were like the sweetest older ladies. They were from Boston. They were so cute. They asked me if I was traveling alone, and I said, nope. Even though they're probably like super safe and kind people, in those situations, always lie. I did end up getting more fabric, just a little bit. I showed so much restraint, but there were a couple that I felt like I wasn't sure I was going to be able to find anywhere else, and so I was tricked into buying them. The first one is this block print, which is so pretty. The lady who cut it for me was like, this reminds me so much of the 70s. I used to love sewing with fabrics like that, and she was so sweet, and it's like really soft, and I don't know, I just feel like a pretty summery dress or top or skirt or something fun, or even like a set maybe. I got like 3.5 yards of that one. And then I found this really gorgeous embroidered flower fabric that is kind of like on this netting, and it is 100% polyester, which is something that I never ever buy. I could probably count on one hand the number of times that I've bought something even with polyester in it. I really try to avoid it. So that should tell you how obsessed I am with this fabric. It's really like flowy and drapey. It's like embroidered on this netting. So it's kind of like a see-through-y type of fabric. When I was cutting it, again, this lady is my new best friend, because when she was cutting my fabric, she's like, oh, are you gonna make curtains with that? And then it dawned on me, I have not decided what I'm gonna do about curtains in my new office. And I actually do feel like this would be amazing, because it's really like, it would be a very light curtain, right? It wouldn't filter a lot of the light, which is kind of what I would want. So yeah, I might have to use this for curtains, but now I'm a little bit nervous I didn't get enough of it if I'm gonna make curtains. You'll have to see what the vibe is. In a couple weeks, I am going to have a new office tour for you once we get the keys to our house. So stay tuned for that. I am gonna go try to make a fire down by the fire pit. Wish me luck. I have not built a fire in like 15 years. So we'll see how it goes.